This game just makes me sad. So Sports Story, if you don't know, is the long-awaited sequel to the hit indie game Golf Story that came out days ago. This game was supposed to be so absolutely amazing, but I really think that they just ended up rushing production. So today, we're going to review Sports Story on the Nintendo Switch. Let's get started. First of all, let's get this out of the way. This game is something that I've been looking forward to for 2 years. This game recently surprise dropped on the Nintendo Switch, and I immediately downloaded it. I ended up playing it for around 3 hours, and then I really ran into some crazy issues that kept me from continuing with the game. So first, let's talk about a couple positives with the game. Number one is that the graphics, of course, are fantastic. These are such amazing pixel art that is so vibrant and brings the entire game to life. The art style really gives everything so much like personality, alongside the animations, which make some really just funny moments, and they make it such an endearing game that you really want to love. But because of the other stuff, you just can't. But I also have to applaud how ambitious this game is. Let's remember that this is an indie team of like just a few people getting together and making a really quality game. You know, they made a game before, Golf Story, and that was way different. It was focused on one sport, and it was a lot smaller of a game. They really went ambitious with this. They wanted to tackle so many different sports, volleyball, BMX, tennis, and just like so many more, that I think they just got a little carried away, a little ahead of themselves, and they rushed it out. And that's the story of how it came out in such a bad condition. One of the main problems I have with this game is that there is no map or really anything to mark where you need to go. You are tasked with finding these random NPCs and then interacting with them and saying the right things so you can vaguely get pointed in the right direction and do what the game wants you to do. And this makes me sad because it makes it so hard to find stuff. You're just wandering around aimlessly for so long. It's like, that's not what I like to do in my games. I like to get going. I don't like to lollygag and like have to like run and talk to every single NPC to find the right one, because the right one isn't marked with anything explicitly, and it's like, oh hey, you gotta go get to that person way over there. How do I get over there? I don't know, because you actually have to do these 5 other things before that I didn't tell you about, that you have to figure out somehow, and it makes the entire experience pretty frustrating. And then it's like, half of this stuff is not sports related stuff. It's all these random side quests that you just have to do in order to progress the story. It's not a side thing. It's not a side thing because you have to do this to get through the rest of the story. Does this sound like a sports thing to you? Watch, this is what I had to do. I had to rescue a cat from bees, but I had to launch a golf ball from the other side of a lake onto this very specific beehive so that the person would let me into where the bees are, and I was able to catch the bees. You know what? After I did all of that, I couldn't catch the bees because the game glitched out. That's the big issue here. The glitches, they are game breaking. I have not been able to make any progress because every time I start to get through that, there are 2 bees who don't want to go in the hive. They don't want me to collect them, so then I can't. So then I don't know what to do, and I can't progress in the story because that, again, it's a main part of the story. Why is it a main part of the story to save a cat from bees? I don't know. Do you use very many sports to do that? No, you don't. So it's just frustrating in that way. And so there's all these glitches, and then you guys are going to be like, oh, this Switch is like old hardware, like blah, blah, blah. This team previously made a game that ran amazing on the Switch. Indie teams don't usually have a problem with having too much horsepower in each game to make it work on the Nintendo Switch. That's not an excuse here. This game was exclusively developed for the Nintendo Switch. That shouldn't be an issue. I understand that things come up and maybe they rushed it or whatever, and they are a small team. So it's not like I want to crap all over this game because it could be good in the future, and it might get really, really good. I think this game was rushed, and I think they wanted to get it out around the holiday season to capitalize on that excitement and all that kind of stuff, and I think it just ended up hurting the game because I can't recommend a product that doesn't work. This game just doesn't work. I can't get through it. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and half the time it just crashes. It's upsetting because there's a lot that you can do with a Nintendo Switch, and especially indie teams, we've seen them do some really amazing things. So the fact that this one has come out in such a state is kind of unforgivable. I don't know. I can't recommend this game, so I'm not going to rate it because I don't want to be mean, but just wait for this game to get good and then pick it up. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this review, you're going to really like this one about Little Gator Game. This is an actual indie game, an indie darling. You got to check it out. It's so, so good.